Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another MLB player prop video. In this one, we have 4 picks for you guys to consider for Friday, July 19th. So stay tuned throughout the video to hear all 4 of the picks. If you guys want to lock in for the second half of the MLB season, definitely sign up for prop projections for free here. They will send out projection spreadsheets about once a week for free. They'll commonly have around 200 props up on their projection spreadsheet, and their projections are based on stats, matchups, lines on other sports books, and a lot more. The projections have been pretty spot on as well all year, and then they'll give you the top win percentage based on their projection. What I really like about it is you can make a copy of the spreadsheet, and then you could input your own projections here, and it comes up with a new win percentage. Then you could sort by the top picks based on your projections. So definitely sign up for free, and you could join their Patreon and only pay $1 per spreadsheet. You get notified whenever they post a projection spreadsheet, and you can set a limit on how many you want to get per month. So you only pay for the amount of spreadsheets that you want to receive. Sign up over there to get those projection spreadsheets. They do send out some for free if you follow them, and then you could pay for just as many as you want for just $1 per spreadsheet. They've definitely been spot on for the MLB season, so let's lock in for the second half. Let's get into the picks we have here. So for the first one, I'm going to go to a hitter stack. I'm liking Cleveland in this hitter stack, and they have some pretty low lines right now on their hitters. So for Quan and Ramirez, I'm going to be going over to them on both of their fantasy scores here. 6.5 for Quan, 7.5 for Ramirez. 2 pretty good lines here for these guys. And I love going to hitter stacks because you got one guy coming up first in Quan. 2 batters later, Ramirez is going to come up. So Quan hitting for such a high average, hoping that he's going to get on base, and then Ramirez can come in, get a hit, and knock him in for an RBI. You get the added bonus of the fantasy score for the run for Quan, and then the RBI for Ramirez as well. And really, if Quan gets on and then gets a run, and Ramirez gets an RBI hit, we're basically there on the fantasy score. So that's what we're hoping for. Also getting a good matchup here. They're facing Matt Waldron, who has a 5-8 record, 3.71 ERA. Last 2 games gave up 4 and 3 runs. His props also at 5.5 hits allowed, with that expected to go over. So expected to be a big day for the Cleveland Indian hitters. We can take a look at this one over on Outlier, which is the best place to find data on these player props, and I use it every single day. So we can see Quan here. On his fantasy score, this is something this year he's gone over 55% of the time. You may say Quan's having an amazing year, which he is, but even last year, if you look at this, he still hit it 54% of the time. Also, they are playing at home, so in home games, Quan has hit this in 17 of 30 games, or 57%, so higher rate of Quan hitting this at home, so definitely liking him in this spot. Waldron hasn't faced any of these hitters, but something you can do on Outlier is look at pitchers against hitters, which we'll see later in the video when I look at some of the pitcher props that I have for you guys as some of my favorite picks. But definitely check out Outlier as well. They are linked down below if you want to get that 7-day free trial. If you haven't yet, to check out Outlier, definitely recommend it. And then we're looking at Jose Ramirez here, who hit this over in 52% of games this season and struggled the last 10 games. We could see only hit this in 2 of his last 10 games, but coming out of the All-Star break, should be rejuvenated here to have a big one after a pretty good showing in the Home Run Derby as well. So I think he's going to be in for a bounce back coming out of the All-Star break. Also, just filtering by home games, a 57% hit rate for Ramirez. So liking them in the hitter stack. For the first 2 picks, we have Quan coming up first, then Ramirez third. So definitely can help each other out. Obviously, Quan getting on base, Ramirez hitting him in. They're just going to get added fantasy points if we can get that to happen. And really, we just need that to happen one time, really, in this game for them to hit their fantasy scores at these pretty low rates here. So now let's move on to some of the pitching that we have in this one. First one we're going to go to is Michael Wacha against the Chicago White Sox, under on his hits allowed at 5.5. Definitely liking this one for him in a great matchup against Chicago. Should be able to take advantage of this matchup and have a nice game. Taking a look at Wacha over on Outlier, we could see under 5.5 hits. He's done this in 9 of 16 games. Also was on a nice streak of this one heading into the All-Star break. In his last 9 games, he's gone under 5.5 hits in 6 of 9 of them. So definitely was starting to pick it up before the All-Star break as well, which we love to see. And then looking at this one last year, it was something he absolutely smashed in 2023. 17 of his 24 starts, he went for under 5.5 hits. And you could see in his last 20 games of 2023, 17 of 20 of those went under as well, and had a massive streak here of going under 5.5 hits in his starts. So something else I talked about earlier that you can do on Outlier is you can look at certain pitchers against these hitters. So we can come over to the side, look at Wacha against some of these White Sox hitters. Against Jimenez, he's 0 for 8 against Wacha here. Senzel, who's faced him in 13 at-bats, is also 0 for 13. Then you got this guy who I never know how to pronounce his name. He's hitting just 182 in 11 at-bats. Sheets in 11 at-bats is hitting .09 against him. The only guy with significant at-bats that hitting pretty good against him is Vaughn, hitting .267 in 15 at-bats. But everyone else with 8 or more at-bats is hitting under 182 against Wacha from Chicago. So really liking this pick. I think definitely going to be one of my favorites on the day. Hopefully this one stays at 5.5 for you guys. But these picks are already posted in the private Discord for Dynamo if you guys are in there. And if this line has changed, just know that I do post these picks in the Discord before the video comes out for you guys in the private. All right, next we're going to go to is Chris Flexen in the same game, the Chicago White Sox picture, going for over 1.5 walks in this spot here. So again, we're going to take a look at this one on Outlier. Flexen on the season has given up 1.5 walks in 61% of games, 11 of 18 starts this year. So definitely like to see that. He did face the Royals earlier this season and gave up 2 walks as well. And then we can look at last season. Still was over 50%, 9 of 16 games he started. He threw for 2 walks or more. We can look at some of the Royals hitters over here. So Perez has an OPS of 958 in 8 at-bats, which is the player that's faced Flexen the most here. And then Witt has faced him the second most, has a 1,000 OPS against Flexen. And we can also come down and see Flexen in his last 5 games. He's pitched at least 5.2 innings here and has pitched 6 innings in 4 of those last 5. So he's been staying out there, which is good to see and good for the over on walks, obviously. So we also have to look that the Royals don't walk that much. They actually walk the 3rd least in the league at 2.65 times. But then if you filter by home games, they actually walk a decent amount at home. So they're about middle of the road here at 3.02 walks in home games. So in their home stadium, they do walk more, which is good to see. But in away games, they really don't walk at all at 2.7 times. So over 3 walks in home games, which is good to see if you're just looking at overall walks per game. They do definitely walk more at home. So second half of the MLB season, if you guys want to lock in, definitely check out Prop Projections. You can join for free on their Patreon, and you can get notified when they send out the occasional free projection spreadsheet. Or you could join up for just $1 per spreadsheet, and you could set how many you want per month, so you're never paying for more than you want to. They'll commonly have around 200 picks or more, and their projections have been really good, and they show you the win percentage based on what their projections are, based on a ton of different stats and sportsbook lines, matchups, things like that. You can also make a copy of the spreadsheet, and you can update your own projections in here, which I really like to do. And then you can see the new win percentage and filter by that based on your own projections. Definitely check them out with the link down below and the pinned comment. Also watch this video here that I did about prop projections for our partnership so you can see more how it works. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you guys in another one.